54 of J.J. Moore, and in the 20th spot will be the 97 of Johnny Cofield.
Then looking throughout the rest of the field, it is going to be Brandon Wallace starting this race in 21st. Baracus is going to join him on that 11th row. Timothy Wilms going to be starting this race in 23rd. Daniel D. Cunningham in 24th. Tyler Justice and Chris Smith going to join each other on the row right behind. Mikey Isaac in 27th. Timothy Stubblefield, my apologies, in 28th. Bobby Germain going to be starting this race in 29th. Zach Engel is going to round out your top 30.
We got more cars to talk about. We got 31st, George Jewell. This is a great field of cars tonight. 32nd will be Sam Milken. 33rd will be the 32 of Cameron Weisenberg. Looks like a newcomer here, I believe, for tonight. The 34th spot will be Joe Hobbs. 35th spot will be Jeremiah Holt. 36 will be the 21 of Justin Klein. 37th spot will be Mark Holyfield, and I'm not sure if 39th and 38th took spots, but that'll be Peyton Hubbard and Doug Ellingson.
And that is going to round out the stuffed field that we have at Auto Club tonight. Racing under the lights and dancing the night away as the pace car is also violently blinking out of existence. Some UFO encounters already happening here at Auto Club Speedway. Racing under the lights, we got pit stop to worry about as well, but these drivers are bracing themselves for what we're expecting is going to be a thrilling night of racing action here on Maconi Entertainment from round number 3 of this GoatLocker Cruisin Classics Wednesday night series. We're waiting for the field to round their way around 3 and 4 in just a couple of moments time. The field going to be put in the hands of Pendleton and Kostek, making up the front row. Both of these drivers have had pretty torrid seasons thus far. Kostek has been in contention for all of the race victories thus far, and Ryan Pendleton has been in contention as well. However, he has run into some trouble throughout this season, but nevertheless, that pace car making the hard turn to go down pit lane. The field is now in the hands of our front row sitters. The green flag gonna fly here at Auto Club, and the drivers are on their way. Pretty even keel start from all of the drivers in this field, going side by side throughout a vast majority of it, but it is still going to be side by side with Pendleton and Kostek heading their way into turn number 1 and 2 at the very beginning of this race. Some drivers fanning 3 wide, a little bit farther in the back, but as it stands currently, we've still got a fight on our hands between Kostek and Pendleton. I think Kostek may have been able to clear him. No, he didn't. Pendleton having a great run going onto the backstretch.
Caution early on here, Ron. I think everybody's rolling. No, I think we got one car sitting. Looks like
you can see 21
machine. Yep. Car.
That's going to be the 21 of Justin Klein running into some trouble on the back straightaway at the very beginning of this race, bringing out the first yellow in the 80 laps of racing action that we have for you on Maconi Entertainment tonight. Gonna hopefully try and find the replay to see exactly what happened to the driver of the number 21 car. You can see him all kinds of loose coming off the corner, making contact with the 85 as well. 85 with some significant contact into the outside wall. That was James Goshen in the Chevrolet that got involved in that incident with the 21. Shouldn't be too much of a shock though, Jeremy, because this track is notoriously tough, and the transitioning coming off of the banking on it to the back straightaway, we've seen plenty of drivers lose it there, and at the start of this race, that being no different.
Yeah, looking at this replay from on board, looks like just got loose from underneath, maybe in that dirty air, maybe not getting, a little bit enough practice with a lot of cars in front of them, because I can sneak up on you. I've done that myself. That happens a lot of times, and unfortunately, early on incident here for the Klein machine, and James Goshen just kind of an innocent bystander. And those cars, these cars in particular, when you're behind other cars, those tires get lifted up off the ground, and you've got no more downforce, and no downforce equals no traction.
And as this field paces around to under yellow, is Ryan Pendleton running at the front. Eventually got that move done on Kostek before the yellow flag came out in this race. Kostek starting in P1 and now losing out on a few spots since the drop of the green flag. He was a driver that picked up the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award. We'll definitely touch on Jam a little bit later on throughout this broadcast. But as it stands in the early stages, it's Pendleton in a Ford Mustang, Kostek in a Chevrolet. Speedway. And you've got the driver running in P3 of Jonathan Cofield, running at your current provisional podium spots as it stands very early on into this race. I don't think we should read a whole lot into the drivers running at the front right now, but I can say that there's been some pretty good movers and shakers thus far, Jeremy. Lots of drivers making their way up through the field thus far. Been a pretty good start for lots of drivers so far.
We'll have to see how it plays out. Like you said, early on, it really doesn't really show us what we've got, for these drivers, and hopefully we can get this caution taken care of very quickly and get us back to green, and hopefully get a good green flag run. Like I said early on, the 4 wide racing is going to be really exciting to watch as these drivers, we're going to have lots of comers and goers, and you're going to have to pay attention to who's really saving their tires early on, because who's going towards the back now might be coming back towards the front here later on this evening.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers are going to be yo-yoing their way through the field, going down from the front, going back up, then going back down, then back up. It's going to be a topsy-turvy night of racing action here on Maconi Entertainment from the 3rd round of this season. Started 2 weeks ago at Talladega Superspeedway, continued on September the 4th at Phoenix, continues tonight at Auto Club, and we've got a fantastic schedule of tracks to look forward to throughout the rest of the season. In 1 week's time, the series is going to be returning to Maconi Entertainment tonight at Bristol. That's going to be a pretty good race in 1 week's time. Watkins Glen, Dover, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Gateway, and Darlington going to round out the rest of the regular season. Then we head into the playoffs from this series. We've got Richmond Raceway and Charlotte for the round of 12, Iowa Speedway and Nashville Superspeedway for the round of 8, and then to decide our champion on December the 18th of 2024, we head back west for the final race of the season at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Got a fantastic series of races to look forward to here on Maconi Entertainment. And of course, while we are still under this yellow flag period waiting for the field to grab the restart in about a half a lap's time, we should probably talk about the sponsor whose name is the namesake of this series, that being Cruisin Classics, because Cruisin Classics has been buying and selling cars for many years. A majority were your average daily drivers at first, but their passion always has been in muscle cars and hot rods. So in 1996, Cruisin Classics built a 56,000 square foot showroom located in Columbus, Ohio, that they still operate out of to this day. All of their vehicles are handpicked and selected to ensure they fit their inventory. The facility is now arguably one of the best stock collections for sale in the entirety of the U.S., housing hundreds of unique automobiles all under one roof. They invite you to their facility, and we would like to thank Cruisin Classics for being the primary sponsor of the Wednesday night Next Gen series and being with GLR from the very beginning. And speaking of, the green flag is back out and the drivers are on their way once again. Pendleton getting a much better start than he did at the very beginning, going to clear Cofield, who's now gone in front of Kostek. So those two drivers starting a battle for P2 and P3 respectively. They're still side by side heading through 1 and 2, but Pendleton getting a fantastic restart, able to clear the both of them heading onto the back straightaway on lap 5.
Pendleton right here out front, great breathing room, no dirty air. That's going to be the name of the game here tonight. Keeping your nose out from underneath, like you just want to keep your nose poked out. These cars have no downforce when you're behind somebody, and you'll watch them. They'll all kind of fan out when they go through these turns, just trying to find clean air to keep it on their noses. You can see them 3 wide there as we're early on, making things happen. Lots of drivers. Oh, just a little bit of contact right there between the 27 and the 25 machine is Ellingson and Kaufman battle for 4th and 5th.
Finally again to see these drivers start to fan out 3 and even 4 wide going through the tri-oval. But right now we've got a side-by-side fight for the lead involving Pendleton and Cofield. They're going to be side-by-side heading off into 3 and 4. And you can see riding on board right now with the driver of the Mustang. He is trying to wheel that car and try and hold on. However, Cofield just got a fantastic move, but drifted out a little bit coming off of the corner. That may sacrifice his run going on to the start-finish. Not so straight away. Look at Pendleton trying to get that move done, ducking to the outside, but he's not going to be able to get that move done on Cofield heading into 1 and 2. So it's still Cofield leading it. Pendleton in P2, and look at Kostek in 3rd. Showed a lot of speed in the early stages. However, he is trying to fight like hell to hold on to that final podium spot and maybe get a little bit racy with Pendleton. Meanwhile, right behind them, the pack is still incredibly hungry, fanning out nearly 3 wide, heading through 3 and 4, and almost making contact with the 50 as well.
This battle right here behind the top 5 is heating up. Lots of drivers making mistakes. We've seen a couple drivers already kind of just get into the walls. We look there, the number 15 in Katorian Davis, Patrick Trebek, Logan Strugan, Chance Taylor all in this, Jacob Ellingson. These drivers are really putting on one heck of a show right now. 3 wide, just trying to get their noses in that clean air, and they're making it happen. Really good racing here early on.
I gotta feel bad for our producer, Marty. He has to be like a chameleon looking at about 14,000 different things at once. This racing is intense very early on. Not even a tenth of the way through this race, and we still have a fight on our hands between P2 and P3. Kostek and Pendleton side by side, heading through 2 and 3. And look at that from Kostek. Mega sideways, heading through the corner. That lost him out on a whole lot of speed. We're gonna be riding on board with the driver who's leading this race at the moment, Cofield, and in his rearview mirror, it is pandemonium. As Kostek with that big moment heading through 3 and 4. That lost him out on a whole lot of time, as now he can see the likes of Kadorian Davis. He's going side by side with him. So the driver, the 3 and the 50, going side by side, heading their way down the back straightaway right now. Jake D. Collins, meanwhile, moving up some spots, with Jacob Ellingson being able to get a move done to slip his way up into third. You can see that number 27 car running strongly at the moment. However, he may have a fight on his hands with Kadorian Davis, who's feeling extremely racy early on, but about to click over to lap 10 in this 80 lap race. It has been pandemonium thus far, Jeremy, and after that early yellow, these drivers have just been pushing it to the absolute limit of control. It is wonderful to see thus far these drivers pushing their cars to the limit, pushing their competitors to the limit. It has been fantastic to see thus far, and we're going to be watching the rest of this lap, then taking a moment of silence. Of course, today being the day that it is, we cannot go without mentioning the tragic events of September 11th that happened 23 years ago. Oh, and that's an off track for Sturgeon. He just hit the wall heading into 3 and 4. He's going to be dropping down and hopefully not bringing out a yellow, but going on to the tri-oval to start lap number 11. We're going to take a lap of silence.
And welcome back after that moment of silence. Got to remember everybody that lost their lives on that tragic day. So we're back here live, watching the action. Up front is still Cofield, Pendleton, Ellingson, Kadorian Davis, Jake Collins, your top 5. As we're going to try and get a look through the field here quickly. Hopefully, like I said, these drivers right now, they're putting on a great show. Look at this, 3 wide again. Between the 8, the 54, down below you got the Trebek machine of the 07. Oh, we got our winners getting loose. We got spun. 48 machine.
Oh, and that right there was a driver that took the checkered flag at the very opening race of the season at Talladega. That is Lucas Lyons, who's gone for a spin coming out of the corner. That 48 car was mega sideways, but I gotta say, well held from Lucas Lyons to keep that car going in a straight line, because he was all sorts of sideways, of course, bringing out the second yellow of this race. Lucky number 13 laps in, but the 48 having a major moment coming onto the start-finish straightaway. Very well held from the driver, the number 48. However, if he was just a little bit slower in terms of the wheel movements, that could have been a hellacious impact for a lot of the drivers in the midfield, Jeremy.
As we get ready here to take a look at our replay, looks like he just got loose on exit and was just chasing it all the way down the front straightaway. Looks like no harm, no foul, just slid off to the grass. Quickie caution here, just get some fresh tires, join back up in the field, and march forward.
And he is going to be trying to keep that car going. Probably worn out tires as well, so we may see the number 48 car come down pit lane. Was running through the grass, though, as well. So Thankfully, in iRacing, they don't have the main thing when it comes to simulating NASCAR stock car events. Thankfully for him, he didn't have the front splitter dig into the grass heading through after that spin, but you can see some drivers already entering the pits. This is an interesting call to come in very early on. A little bit of an overshoot, it must be said, from the driver of the number 91 car. That is not going to hurt his chances a lot. That's Daniel D. Cunningham, and the number 91 just had a quick little overshoot in his pit stall. Had to reverse a little bit, so that's going to cost him a teeny tiny bit of time. But these drivers already coming in for an early call to come down pit lane with only 14 laps on the board. What do you think of this strategy call from these drivers, Jeremy?
That's honestly a really good question. Looks like they were pretty quick in and pretty quick out. So maybe just some fuel, top off on the fuel here, and maybe have quicker stops if we have to maybe pit for tires later on. But you know, it looks like just maybe a handful of drivers trying a different strategy right there, and we'll have to see how it plays out for them.
I think we'll, as we are under this yellow flag condition, I think we'll run through the field, because considering we've had some hard racing thus far, the field is quite shuffled up from where it was at the very beginning. As it stands currently, Jonathan Cofield is leading it in the number 53 car. Ryan Pendleton, who led not terribly long ago, he is currently in second. Jacob Ellingson, who got a good move done after the chaos involving Michael Kostek dropping down the running order, he is currently in third. Currently, Kadorian Davis currently in fourth, up 6 spots from where he started in this race. Lots of Toyotas making their way up through the field. Another one being the number 81 of Jake D. Collins. He's up 4 spots. Patrick Drabick running in 6th. He's in the 07 car, of course, won last time out at Phoenix. He's going to try and go 2 for 2, well, go back-to-back from this season at this early stage of it. JJ Moore, currently running in 7th, is up 12 spots from where he started in this race. Meanwhile, Michael Kostek running 8th. He's down 7, had a very torrid time of things. Of course, grabbed the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award, but then ever since then, he's dropped back a little bit, now running in 8th as it stands at the moment. Chance Taylor in 9th. Blake Edel is currently running in 10th. Chris Sawyer, James Kaufman, Travis Bieber, Logan Sturgeon, and Jacob Lemke going to round out your top 15.
Jesse Nicola there in 16th or 15th, excuse me. Timothy Stubblefield in 17th. Bobby Germain in 18th, up from 29th. Those two drivers making a good march to the front. 19th is going to be the Chris Smith machine. 20th, Joe Hobbs. Behind him, Tyler Justice, Doug Ellingson, Timothy Wilmes, Jesse Taylor, Mike Isaac, George Jewell, Daniel Cunningham, Johnny Cofield, Sam Milken, Cameron Wessingbird there, and 31st is Zach Engel. A lot of these drivers still on the lead lap, all the way back to, it looks like 36 still on the lead lap as we're coming to the green.
Yeah, that is the field order for this restart, coming to 16 laps into this 80-lap affair, and it's going to be Cofield and Pendleton on that front row, getting ready to hit that gas pedal and get things back underway. 15 now, 16 laps on the board from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics series, but another yellow with a big stack up heading through the midfield. I think we had some restart drama with some drivers blinking in out of existence, some connection issues maybe playing a role in this incident, but nevertheless, you can see the 58 car spun around. These drivers running into some difficulties thus far, and we're going to spin around and hit the wall yet again. So the 58 having a torrid time of things at the moment. Got to be burning it down against the wall. Probably upset with how things have gone for him in the past few moments. But the driver of the number 58 car, that being Doug Ellingson, he's going to be kicking himself after what just happened a few moments ago. I think we'll take a look at a replay to see exactly what went wrong. This was a big schmozzle a little bit farther in the back.
You could definitely have a lot of checkup. Oh man, I'm not sure what happened there from that angle. There really wasn't really a checkup moment in front of the 58. Not sure what happened there. We'll have to take another angle, another look. Maybe look from behind the 50. That was pretty an interesting event there to happen, and we'll go back live and go from there. As the 58 had trouble just getting her turned back around.
Yeah, honestly, looking at that, Jeremy, I think it may have just been some drivers feeling a little bit antsy and a little bit impatient early on in this race. Bearing in mind it is 80 laps long, which around this racetrack, which is one of the fastest in the world. Well, was one of the fastest in the world until it was unfortunately torn down back in 2023. But around this track, 80 laps can flow, just absolutely fly by. However, this race has been fairly stop-start thus far. There's our third yellow in the 17, coming to 18 laps that we have ticked over thus far. And touching on that brief little point that I mentioned about this track being one of the fastest in the world, I believe to this day the late great Gilles de Ferran still holds the closed course speed record around this racetrack, when I think he grabbed the pole for a kart IndyCar race that happened all the way back in the year 2000. But nevertheless, as this field is under yellow, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break and hear from Cruisin Classics, because we talked about them earlier. However, Cruisin Classics has an awesome collection of vehicles, and I think in the ad that we have here on Maconi Entertainment, you can just see a small little peek. We'll be right back here on Maconi Entertainment to bring you the action from this restart after these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Maconi Entertainment tonight, and once again, we would like to thank Cruisin Classics for being a wonderful partner with the GoatLocker Racing. Really, without them, these broadcasts in this series would simply not be possible. Coming to a restart with 20 laps on the board. It's been a pretty jumbled up start thus far. Lots of drivers running some mover and shaker races thus far, but on this restart, it's going to be Pendleton and Cofield at the north end of the field. We'll see if they have an even restart or if they're jumbled up a little bit more. Waiting for the field to get things back up and rolling with 20 laps on the board. The green flag back at, and it's a very good restart from Cofield. Pendleton, meanwhile, on that outside line, had a torrid time of things just a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Condorian Davis currently running in third. He may try and pick up the pieces and try and start to battle hard, making big contact, heading through turns number 3 and 4, and that is going to bring the yellow out. That was through 1 and 2, my apologies, and that is a huge wreck, taking out a whole lot of good running race cars. Pendleton and Condorian Davis being the two that started off that incident, and that may have been one of the worst ever commentators jinxes I've pulled off in my entire time here at Maconi Entertainment. We're gonna try and hopefully find a replay of that major drama, but I'll tell you what, it all started with a send from Condorian Davis in that number 50 car. He was very bold and audacious heading into the corner. However, it just didn't really work out well for him. You could see I believe that may have been a little bit earlier on in the race. Actually, that was on the previous restart where we had a crash coming to take the green flag. I was about to note the caution lights on the catch fence as the field head their way into turn number 1 and 2. And there is the tail end of that incident. You could see the car of Pendleton just mega sideways heading through 1 and 2, and lots of good race cars taken out in that collision. Looking through, Chance Taylor, Ryan Pendleton, Kadorian Davis, Doug Ellingson, and James Goshen are all down pit lane. However, it should be noted that Ellison and Goshen were involved in the previous yellow after that crash going down the start-finish straightaway. But Pendleton and Kadorian Davis taken out of this race, taken out of contention, that is, from a pretty good front-running position, Jeremy. That's definitely going to shake things up a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it is. We'll have to see if anybody takes any pit strategy here as well. Looking at the incident from my end of things, it looks like the driver there, the 23, I believe it was, just got really loose. I'm not sure if it was all these pace laps really cooled those tires off, and then when we refired on that restart, kind of lost the grip from the tires getting cooled off there, and kind of just unexpectedly got loose on them going into the turn. It was really trying their hardest to save it all the way through 1 and 2, and just unfortunately just tangled everybody up, and just a lot of drivers just kind of drove it in there, or just not slowing down enough. And this has been great racing though when we have the green flag runs, and we'll have to keep an eye on these drivers. Like you said, a lot of new names and new places. We'll have to see how it balances out here as we get on for these last, I believe, 60-ish laps.
I believe it would be 68 or 67 laps to go while we're still under this yellow flag period. I think we should touch on the storyline that we followed throughout this race, and this is probably an unfortunate time to bring this up. The driver running down in 23rd at the moment is Michael Kostek. The driver of the number 3 car has had a torrid time of things thus far in this race. I believe got a piece of that last incident that has brought out the 4th yellow of this race. But Kostek started from the pole. Whenever that 3 car is running quick, it is running quick, and a force to be reckoned with week in and week out. Tonight just being a small little blip on grabbing the pole position. He also picked up the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award based out of Plainfield, Indiana. Jam Printing and Promotions are local, are veteran certified, and when they do well, they can do good for your community too. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed to printing and promotional sponsorships for more than 60 local nonprofit organizations, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with GoatLocker Racing since the very beginning. They provide GLR with all the promotional items, including shirts, hats, decals, dog tags, you name it. Jam is GLR's go-to promotional company. We would like to thank Jam Printing and Promotions for being the sponsor of GoatLocker Racing and the sponsor of the Jam Pole Award. And sadly, the number 3 car has gotten jammed up on some of these restarts, and he's going to be starting the mid-pack, so things may not go well for him on this restart either. But coming to take the green once again in just a couple of moments' time, it's going to be with 24 laps on the board of this 80-lap race. The front row is going to consist of Jacob Ellingson, the number 27 car, and JJ Moore in the 54, who has been just a hot driver thus far this season, up 17 spots at the moment. Actually, not the hard charger currently, as Joe Hobbs running down to 14th is up 20. We'll probably touch on that storyline in just a couple of moments' time, but nevertheless, with the field rounding their way around turn number 3 and 4, hoping for this restart to go like the second restart that we had not terribly long ago here on Maconi Entertainment. I believe that green flag run ended up being about 8 laps, unless my memory is not serving me correctly, which it very well might not be doing, but nevertheless, the field hoping for a clean restart and some fun racing action to come of it. The green flag is back on, the drivers are on their way, and unlike the previous restarts, the inside line getting a much better jump this time by Ellingson, going to be leading them off into turn number 1. Then you've got a battle right behind involving Moore and Jake Collins, so we're going to see those 2 drivers start to duke it out. 2 Toyotas battling hard for the P2 spot. Meanwhile, some drivers fanning out 2 and 3 wide, heading through turns number 1 and 2, but Ellingson with a fantastic restart, going to be leading them off into turn 3 and 4.
We got to thank Jacob Ellingson, too, for providing us that onboard shot. Great shot. Appreciate that. As JJ Moore wants more. Up 17 spots, like you said. A little bit of lap traffic here. There's a lot of damaged cars out here are going to start making some chaos, I believe. As we look at these drivers right here, fanned out, the 114 there of Bieber, I believe it is, starting to make his charge to the front.
Ooh, these drivers are starting to get a bit more antsy. They're getting a bit more racy, and they're also trying to figure out when they should come down pit lane. Then never mind that, these drivers getting oh so close to making contact, coming off at turn number 1 and 2. I think if these drivers push it a little bit more, they're probably gonna be in for a world of hurt. We're following the number 51 with contact a little bit farther in the back. That, I believe, may have been... Not sure exactly who that was. May have been Liars that actually just dropped back with a little bit of wall contact. That or may have been at one point race leader Cofield. Nevertheless, a driver scraping the wall, heading through 3 and 4, and some side-by-side action continuing here at the North Pack. You can see the number 81 car of Collins battling hard, trying to hold on to that P4 spot. Himself and Travis Bieber are battling oh so hard in the still early stages of this race. Despite the fact we've had 4 yellows, we have 26 laps coming to 27 on the board. So these drivers are trying to settle this race into some sort of groove and sell themselves into some sort of groove as well.
As we take a look here from the Ellingson machine, looking back at the 54 of JJ Moore. He's on the inside now as they battle side by side at the start-finish line for the lead. Ellingson, Moore, side by side into turn 1. They're almost through. Oh, contact! Contact between the 54. I'm not sure if the 27 was expecting the 54 to go to the bottom, but the 54 is starting to move up the track and finding speed. We'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll have to see. He's letting him have the spot back. Not sure if it was just incidental contact. He's just kind of letting him have the spot there. I think JJ Moore kind of let him have it back, and he's going to try to work for that spot one more time.
Yeah, those two drivers avoided near disaster heading through 1 and 2 just a couple of moments ago. They will try not to have a repeat of that as they head their way into that section. This time Baez, that's a driver running off into the grass in the back, and that's going to be a spinner, I believe, with a huge amount of contact. I don't believe that's going to bring the yellow out yet. We could see that driver maybe fully spin out and actually bring the full course yellow out. I'm not sure who that was. That was mega sideways. I believe that may have been Bieber that just got ran all the way into the grass. Heading out of turns number 3 and 4. That was near disaster involving both of those drivers. There you can see that's the 114 with a major moment of drama, actually going for a spin in the grass. Very surprised that didn't bring the full course yellow out. However, these drivers starting to battle hard at the front yet again. Ellingson still going side by side with JJ Moore. They're going to be side by side starting the 29th lap of this 80 lap race and careening their way into turn number 1 and 2. It is still Moore and Ellingson battling hard for the P1 spot. However, you gotta look at Jay Collins running in third at the moment. He's gonna be there to pounce if these drivers get caught up in their own battle a little bit too much. And considering that gap between P2 and P3 has cratered over the past few laps, I think they don't really care and don't really notice Collins slowly reeling them in.
Look no further than position number 5, the 92 of Timothy Stubblefield, up 23 positions right now. He is on the move. Here we go. I think we've had a long enough green flag run where we're going to start seeing a lot of those comers and goers. A lot of these drivers having that slightly slower pace might be kind of paying the dividends right now. As a 78 there, also Chris Sawyer trying to put his name in the hat. As we're almost side by side there between the Collins machine, and we're going to go 3 wide into turn 3.
Oh, these drivers are racing oh so aggressively in the early stages of this race. Look at that move from Timothy Stubblefield in the number 92 car. Maybe trying to eye up a move to get into P2 after Ellingson was a little bit slow midway through 3 and 4. Ellingson even hitting the wall on corner exits. But look at Timothy Stubblefield trying to hold off that position for now. Got that move done to slip his way up into third, getting the 2-for-1 deal down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. However, he's got a fight on his hands. You have to withstand a challenge from Logan Sturgeon and Chris Sawyer behind. As it stands at the moment, Stubblefield is up 25 spots, make that 24 in this race, as Sturgeon just got that move done to relegate Stubblefield back down into 4th. However, we may see him get that move back done in just a couple of moments time. Chris Sawyer also feeling incredibly racy as well, but as it stands currently, it is JJ Moore leading at Ellingson in P2, Sturgeon in 3rd, Stubblefield in 4th, and Chris Sawyer and Jake D. Collins battling hard for 5th.
Kaufman there in 7th. Tyler Justice is going to be in 8th. Bobby Germain right now holding off in 9th. And Jonathan Cofield rounding out our top 10 right there. He's kind of falling back 7 spots. After 10th position, we got a lot of big movers, the plus 22s of Cameron Weisman and Joe Hobbs. They're on the move, 11th and 12th respectively. Mickey Isaac is also on the move there in 14th. Patrick Trebek is kind of falling back as he is down here in 15th. With Jesse Knuckleall as we're battling, 3 wide up here to front. The 92 machine of Timothy Stubblefield gets a little bit of contact with the wall. Everybody's fanning out everywhere, just trying to break the drafts, trying to get a good, entry to the turn. This is great racing here.
Oh, it absolutely is. And Timothy Stubblefield in that number 92 car has been the center of attention as of late, and he can't really blame us because he pulled off a fantastic move. Oh, and that's a fantastic save a little bit farther in the back. That was a big sideways snap coming out of 2 and 3. That was the 25 of James Kaufman, who's probably going to have to come down pit lane in the near enough future to both put some new tires on that race car and probably have a change of underwear, because that was a major snap coming out of the corner. So these drivers still racing hard, battling hard, and pushing these cars to the absolute limit. Logan Sturgeon slipping his way up into second, trying to battle hard with Jacob Ellingson. They're going to be side by side, heading their way off into turn number 1 and 2 right now. You've got Sturgeon on the outside and Ellingson on that inside line. The number 27 car briefly led this race. However, JJ Moore got that move done. The number 54 Camry, he's now up 18 spots from where he started in this race. But these drivers are just racing so aggressive. And funnily enough, Jeremy, knowing my luck, I probably just jinxed it though. This, I believe, is the longest green flag run we've had thus far in this race, and it has been chock full of action as well.
Yes, it has. I just saw, I believe, our first car making the first pit stop, number 37 of Jacob Linke. I believe he just came down and got fuel and tires. And I believe he's trying to do some strategy here with just under 50 to go. I believe we're at 45 to go possibly here, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Drivers up front doing great here, and we'll take a look at our race analysis. Hopefully we can take a look at it. Looks like we're 46 to 48 laps on fuel. Some of these drivers did pit earlier on after a couple of those cautions. We'll have to see how it plays out. Remember, this race is 80 laps, so these drivers are just under 30 laps short on fuel. I believe they're in their windows now. We'll have to see if pit road gets busy.
Yeah, I'm curious as to whether or not these drivers are secretly hoping for a yellow whereby they won't have to worry about a green flag pit entry, which at a track like this is just so difficult. Coming off of the banking, trying to go through the gears in these next-gen race cars is going to be tough. However, if the racing stays the way it has been thus far, I think these drivers will have to worry about this. The longest green flag run we've had thus far in this race, 36 coming to 37 laps on the board as side-by-side racing continues, this time between Chris Sawyer in the 78 and Jake Collins in the 81. Those two drivers still close, still side by side, actually evening out and ironing out, heading down the start-finish straightaway to begin the 37th lap of this race. It's still JJ Moore at the front, Sturgeon in P2, Ellingson in third, Sawyer, Collins running at the top 5 at the moment, and Timothy Stubblefield, who got that move done, a fantastic move. He's dropped back a little bit, now running in 7th currently. Just got a move put on him by Tyler Justice, who's another hard charger, up 19 spots from where he started in this race. Those two drivers side by side going down the back straightaway. The 92 of Stubblefield and the 33 of Justice battling hard. Heading through 3 and 4 right now. It's going to be Stubblefield on that outside line. He's got a fantastic run heading down this start-finish area to begin lap 38. These drivers just pushing these cars to hell and back. JJ Moore actually extending that gap a little bit between himself and Logan Sturgeon. These drivers starting to deal with tire wear and starting to consider when they want to come down pit lane. You said a few moments ago, Jeremy, that the field is set to enter the pit window in about 8 laps time. Do you think these drivers are actually secretly hoping for a yellow, or are some of these drivers, especially at the front who haven't come down pit lane, hoping that remains green?
Well, I'm sure a lot of these drivers are definitely hoping for that yellow flag. But we're looking at this field right now, and the way everybody's kind of single file up here, these almost first 10, 15 spots, looks like everybody's just kind of settled in right now, looking at everybody's strategies and stuff. But we're kind of just riding it out right now, and if this is the pace we're going to set, we might be taking these pit stops under green, and that's really going to get everybody jumbled up. And one thing you don't want to have under green flag is a penalty, and that can really end your night here early or later in this race.
I think these drivers are a little bit terrified of the prospect of green flag pit stops. We haven't had that so far this season, considering the drama we usually expect at Talladega Superspeedway. Didn't see it then, and we didn't see it at Phoenix 1 week ago. However, here under the lights at Auto Club Speedway, we will have to worry about that in the near enough future. But right now, Moore had to worry about Sturgeon getting a move done on him to slip his way up into the front. So Logan Sturgeon takes the lead from JJ Moore. Moore actually losing out on a little bit of time. I think we may try and find the replay in the near enough future. Once this side-by-side fight between these two drivers starts to cool off a little bit more on that inside line, Sturgeon on the outside, and look at Ellingson running in third. He may try and pick up the pieces if these drivers come to blows. Now over halfway through this 80-lap race, it's Moore and Sturgeon side-by-side battling tooth and nail for the lead of this race. The 78 getting into the wall on corner exit through 3 and 4, and look at this. This is going to be a good run from Ellingson going on to the start-finish straightaway. Will he try and go for the move into 1 and 2? Is he going to send one off on the inside, or is he going to hold back? I think he's going to hold back and maybe try and pick one off at a time, as Sturgeon is going to be on that outside line having a terrible run midway through the corner. However, he's going to have a great run coming out of it. He's still going to be side-by-side with Moore going down the back straightaway on the 41st lap of this 80-lap race, and as a single file out for the first time in about 3.5 laps time, it is Sturgeon, Moore, and Ellingson running in P1, P2, and P3 respectively, and the gap between themselves in the fight between Jake D. Collins and Chris Sawyer is actually increasing a little bit, ballooning now to over half a second, my apologies. But these three cars, nose to tail, heading their way off into turn number 1 and 2. I think we got to keep our eyes on Ellingson. He's been pretty fast, as we're going to take a look at a replay of the move that Sturgeon pulled off to take the lead from JJ Moore.
As we watch that power move, these drivers have started just kind of swapping spots here. I kind of like jinxed myself, or they're all just kind of listening to the broadcast when I sat there and said it looked like they were just riding out, because as soon as I said that, I believe everybody just started going back to side by side. A little contact there for the wall with the number 81 machine of Jake Collins. Just grabbed it on the exit. These drivers have definitely got a handful right now, as we just got past halfway. 38 laps to go. We definitely got to pit one more time. Is it going to be under caution, or is it going to be under green?
I think these drivers really need to start considering what their strategy is coming down pit lane, how hard to try and push the pit limiter issue. Of course, these NASCAR next-gen cars, despite how newfangled they may be in the NASCAR world, still don't have a pit limiter behind these drivers doing it the old-fashioned way, trying to balance that throttle pedal and maintain their revs heading down pit lane so they don't pick up a speeding penalty, which, considering how tight this field is, that would be a game changer and a game ruiner for any of these drivers. Moore had a fantastic run on that inside line, going on to the start-finish straightaway, coming out of 3 and 4. He's going to take the lead. Meanwhile, Sturgeon and Ellingson, they're going to be side-by-side right behind. And look at Collins. I mentioned not terribly long ago that gap had ballooned between P3 and P4 to about a half a second. That gap has diminished as of late with the hard battling we've had at the front, as Collins has turned it into a 4-horse race on lap 44 of this 80-lap affair from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen Series. It's still Moore, Sturgeon, Ellingson, and Jake Collins rounding out the top 4, with Justice behind in 5th, up 20 spots from where he started in this race. But as they start lap 45, it's one more lap and then that pit window opens, Jeremy. These drivers, as much as they're in a mad scramble at the moment to try and get a move done to take the lead of this race, they're soon going to be scrambling their way down pit lane. We need to consider that. I think these drivers, especially with how hard they're racing, if they're a little bit uneasy, they may try and back out early.
One thing we do have to remember, though, we did have a couple cautions there early on, so they probably have like maybe 2 to 5 more laps of fuel than before. So anything, like you said, anytime after lap 48, like the pit window's open. Right now, the top 9 cars are within 1.5 seconds. This is an absolute heater of a battle we got up at the front, all the way to the top 9. These drivers are really starting to put it on. As 10th after that, they're all pretty close back there in their own little pack. So we got 2 packs right now getting ready for green flag pit stops, and man, I am loving these battles here at Auto Club here tonight.
I'll tell you what, for anyone tuning into this broadcast tonight on Maconi Entertainment, you've tuned into an absolute barn burner tonight. This has been a great night of racing action thus far, and I'll tell you what, full transparency, folks, I'm already finished my first bottle of water. It's been so exciting so far. But at the moment, it's still Ellingson, Moore, Jake D. Collins, Sturgeon, and Jonathan Cofield rounding out your top 5. Chris Sawyer in the number 78 has made a call to come down pit lane. That's an interesting one from the driver of the number 78 car. The first driver running up towards the front to make that decision to come down pit lane, as Sturgeon dropping back just a little bit now, running in 5th at the moment. The driver's starting to feel a bit more aggressive at this stage, definitely pushing the issue with their competitors, but an interesting call from Sawyer to come down pit lane.
I believe Sawyer is not going to be alone here shortly. I think I hear drivers calling over the radio, typing in that they're getting ready to pit. This is going to start getting interesting very quickly. We're going to see a lot of these drivers start peeling off left very hard. You want to be quick and efficient, but you don't want to speed and you don't want to spin out. Efficiency is key, but keeping up your speed is even more important, because every little mile per hour that you're off, you're just losing time on the track, and with how close everybody's running right now, you don't want to lose any time.
Yeah, you want to lose no time at all, considering the tightness of this pack. If you lose a couple of tenths, you can be in for a world of hurt. And, you know, speaking of a driver that we've touched on a lot throughout this broadcast, I just noticed Michael Kostek, the driver that picked up the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award, he's now running in 9th. That has been a fantastic recovery for the driver of the number 3 car. He may make up a few more spots in just a couple of moments' time when the drivers a little bit farther up the road decide to come down pit lane, clicking over to lap 49, coming to 50 next time by. That'll start the final 30 laps from tonight's racing action here on Maconi Entertainment. It's been fantastically entertaining thus far, and we still have the strategy content to try and keep our eyes on. But these drivers still battling hard. Ellingson trying to pull up that gap. Meanwhile, Collins, Moore, and Cofield are just battling tooth and nail right behind, nearly 3 wide, heading their way off through turns 3 and 4 at the moment. These drivers just forcing the issue more and more, battling harder and harder. Moore trying to hold on to that P3 spot and maybe make his way up back to the lead, because he was leading for a decent chunk of this race. I believe he's led the most amount of laps of anybody so far tonight, but the topsy-turvy nature of the racing that we were expecting heading into this race at Auto Club tonight definitely ringing true. And with pit stops coming in a few moments time, Jeremy, I think this race it's a total toss-up.
Complete toss-up. Lots of drivers coming down pit road now. I believe we've had probably at least 10 to 15 drivers. Looks like Kosak's going to be coming down this time as well, the number 3 machine. So we're watching all these fold out. JJ Moore had a wild moment off of turn 4 just a few moments ago. I mean, absolutely sideways. Didn't wreck anybody, but I believe the 54 might have burned up his right rear, taking on that lead as a 20. Oh, we got to. Oh, it might be the number 3. He might have spun out trying to get the pit road. I'm not sure. We'll have to take a look.
If he spun out, I think it's going to be another commentator's jinx from me tonight. I believe that is the 3 car. He's stopped in his pit box at the very front end of pit lane. There may have been something else going on outside of the 3, so crisis averted and did not pull off a bad commentator's jinx. May have involved another driver that came down pit lane. Oh no, was the 3. There you can see that was a hellacious impact with the 3 and the 78 coming off a 3 and 4. That was huge. I could see the underside of the 3. Oh, you could see why he's had to come back down pit lane. That car is absolutely destroyed. And here's another angle. And oh my God, that was a huge one. The 78 really with nowhere to go after that moment for the 3. I think you're right there, Jeremy. He did spin out trying to come down pit lane, but ended up on the racetrack, and the 78 with just nowhere to go just came barreling in. That was probably the worst impact we've seen thus far this season. And bearing in mind we saw a flip 1 week ago at Phoenix, that's really saying something.
Unfortunately, I think that's going to do it for him tonight. Like you said, a hellacious impact. Well, green flag stops. Strategies are now out the window. We're going to have to see what they decide, if they want 2 or 4. But if it was me, I want 4 tires. I want all the grip I can get. We got 40 laps 52 laps on these tires. I'm ready to get 4 tires and get some. I just want to splash of fuel, because the least amount of fuel, the better.
Yeah, keep those race cars light, and here we go. The field coming down pit lane for the money stop. Leading them down pit lane at the moment is going to be the driver that's been leading for a decent chunk of this race thus far. Has been running up towards the front a lot as well. You can see the field fanning out, going down into their pit stalls. It's still Ellingson at the front. However, we're going to see how things shake out once these drivers come in for their stops. Here's the number 27 car stopping in his box. Hits his marks beautifully, and we're going to see that car get jacked up into the air. Jeremy, I'm absolutely with you. If I'm one of these drivers, I want new tires now and quick, because this track just eats the tires alive. It's so patchier. It's patchier than my face when I was 15. That's really saying something. But as the drivers come off of pit lane, Ellingson going to hold on to the lead. J.D. Collins going to slot his way into second. Jonathan Cofield with a good run down pit lane. He's going to exit out in third. Logan Sturgeon and Patrick Drabick, who we haven't really talked about so far tonight, he exits out in fifth. And Drabick, off the back of a victory 1 week ago at Phoenix, that 07 car is going to be restarting this race in P5. I think we really need to keep our eyes on him coming into the final stages of this 80-lap race.
It looks like our biggest loser potentially right now will be the 54 of JJ Moore. He came in, I believe, in the top 5 and now is running 10th.
Oh, that is going to be an absolute stinger. But as this field is still under yellow, I think we're going to take a quick little commercial break here once again from Cruisin Classics. And we'll be right back to bring this restart with under 30 laps to go here on Maconi Entertainment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We've got 54 laps on the board, folks, of the 80 laps that we're scheduled to have. Of course, we may have some green-white checkers later on, but coming to the restart, which is going to be with 55 laps on the board. It's been a hard-fought night of racing action. We just had a series of pit stops. Good thing this series is sponsored by Lincoln Tech. Otherwise, I think these drivers would have had a much slower run down pit lane. More about them later on throughout this broadcast, but about to bring this 5th yellow flag period to a close with Jacob Ellingson and Jake D. Collins going to be making up the front row. One of the drivers running in a Chevy, the other in a Toyota. Chevy dominance continuing in this race with only 2 Fords occupying the top 20 positions as it stands at the moment. But the pace cars come down pit lane and the green flag is back out with the drivers on their way into turn number 1 and 2. Ellingson with a fantastic restart, and the number 27 came out of pit lane just a few moments ago with the lead. He's on fresh tires and he is going to be a man on a mission trying to seal up the deal from tonight's race. However, we have to worry about maybe some green-white checkers, maybe fuel playing a factor if this race runs all the way green between now and the checkered flag. However, Jonathan Cofield, Jake D. Collins, and Logan Sturgeon have to worry about fight that they're involved in. They also have to think about the 07 of Patrick Drabick following right behind. Drabick trying to make up some spots. He's currently made up 4 spots right now as he gets a move done on Sturgeon, and the number 26 Chevrolet coming off of 3 and 4. That's going to slip his way up into 4th. However, Sturgeon with that fantastic run on the outside line, going to be able to clear him going down the start-finish straightaway into turn number 1 and 2. But still, Jacob Ellingson, Jonathan Cofield, Jake Collins, Logan Sturgeon, and Patrick Drabick go round out your top 5 at the moment. Now 25 laps to go from Auto Club Speedway here on Maconi Entertainment.
Like you said there, 25 to go. Ellingson is our leader with Cofield all over his back bumper, peeking his nose to the bottom. I don't think he's going to get to this lap, but he is going to have one heck of a run when it gets to the end of this straightaway, having that great draft, just being right behind him. We'll have to see if he can get some help. We'll see what the 81 machine of Jake Collins does, see if he decides to peek his nose out. As right now, these drivers are probably driving the hardest they have all night. Really close there. As the 53 just got a little tight in the middle of the turn as he slides up there in front of the Collins machine with the Sturgeon machine on his back bumper with Drebeck still trying to make that pass on that Cruisin Classics machine of the 26. Now he's in the bottom of 3 wide. Drebeck on the move right now, taking no prisoners. He wants to go forward, and he wants to go now.
I could tell this racing is dramatic on Maconi Entertainment tonight when I break out the noise imitating a tornado siren. I'm not entirely sure what that was here tonight. I apologize if anyone was deeply disturbed by that, but nevertheless, the field hang their way through 1 and 2. Got a slow car on the apron. That's a lap down car that got involved in an incident earlier, not playing a huge role in this fight. However, it may have slowed down Ellingson a little bit as Cofield, deep within that slipstream, got to try and pull out and get the move done heading into 3 and 4. He's on the inside line. Ellingson on the outside. They're going to be side by side heading through 3 and 4. Still going to be side by side on corner exit. Will Ellingson be able to hold off the challenge and remain at the front? Coming at 22 to go from round number 3 of the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen Series. And it looks like we're going to try and continue the streak of these drivers going for a different race winner every single race thus far. Kicked off 2 weeks ago at Talladega with Lucas Lyons, continued last time out with Mike Kostek, but right now we've got Cofield running at the front currently. These drivers are battling hard. It was actually Patrick Drebeck who took the checkered flag at Phoenix 1 week ago. Kostek, who grabbed the pole from tonight's race, may be a driver that we keep our eyes on throughout the rest of the season. He's been running quite strong. However, things did not go to plan for him tonight. Things not going to plan for Jacob Ellingson as he's dropping his way down to 4th. Cofield got a move put on him, then Sturgeon and Collins followed, and now Ellingson has a fight on his hands to remain inside the top 5. Going to be side by side, sending their way off into 1 and 2. I believe it's going to be a successful attempt to grab P3 back from Ellingson. However, Collins may have a great run going on to the back straightaway, and look at the weaving from Cofield trying to break the draft.
Cofield just trying to set sail right now, just trying to get away. Clean air is king, and right now that leader is 53, and really pretty much the best position. This is probably the hardest these drivers have raced all night. Look at that, 4 cars lined up behind the leader. How can you not, how can you protect that? You know, these drivers are coming with such a run. They're all lined up there behind you, but they don't seem to be getting there just yet. But the Sturgeon machine there in second, as I speak about, I'm trying to getting some pressure there behind from Ellingson, but really on the move right now, trying to make some ground up on the 53. Is behind them. You got Collins and Drebeck still battling. Oh, Drebeck gives the bumper to the 81 of Collins. He's going to get to his outside. He's going to have the momentum. Precision driving there, maybe by the Drebeck machine, trying to make these passes a little bit quicker. Looks like Moore also back there trying to make crazy passes as well.
This is an insane pack with a top 6 in this race with over 60 laps on the board, still only covered by less than a second. This is some fantastic racing that we have on Maconi Entertainment tonight. Cofield pulling away as Sturgeon and Ellingson continue to fight for P2 and P3 respectively. Look at Drebeck and Collins still battling hard a little bit farther behind, but this race has been absolutely ridiculous and ridiculously exciting to watch as well. Hopefully everyone tuning into the stream and those watching from Nassie's Restaurant and Bar are enjoying the 3-wide action that we have right now going down the start-finish straightaway. Look at Drebeck with a beautiful run coming off of 3 and 4 on that inside line. Gonna be able to clear the 2 of them to slip his way up into second. Sturgeon and Ellingson were too busy fighting with each other that they didn't even pay attention to the 07 right behind. Now Cofield, I think, needs to keep his eyes on his rear view mirror. Of course, doesn't have to, he needs to keep his car clean, needs to keep his race clean as well. If he puts a foot wrong, he's gonna be in a world of trouble, and these drivers are nearly in a world of trouble heading into 3 and 4 as Sturgeon and Drebeck made some pretty big contact on corner entry as that's running into the barrier as Sturgeon. That was a big hit, thankfully, with the composite bodies in these NASCAR Next Gen race cars. That would have been a game ender in the Gen 6 here in the Next Gen car, though. That is going to be just a small little bump in the road. However, that's dropped them down to 5th, now about 9/10 of a second off of the the leader Cofield, but the fight for P2, P3, and P4 is absolutely ridiculous. And we've got another fight going on between Kaufman and Cunningham outside the top 5.
Like you said, just outside the top 5 there, they're battling hard. There's Drybeck, moves up another couple spots. The 25 of Kaufman trying to make some moves. JJ Moore in the 54 up to 8th, kind of just stuck back there. Not sure what's going on with him. He was up towards the front earlier on in the race. As you can see there, also the 91 of Cunningham now in the picture. And then just behind them, the 33 of Tyler Justice, trying to put his nose in here 3 wide, trying to take the shortest route around the track. I tell you, the bottom line on the front stretch, like against that white line, I think is starting to work, taking that shortest route along that tri-oval.
And we're going to get back to the fight at the front. Drabick running in P2 at the moment. I got to say the gap between himself and Cofield in the lead of this race has ballooned. It's now over half a second between P1 and P2. Looking good for Cofield at the moment. However, we've still got 15 laps on the board, so knowing my luck, I probably just shinks him. And we're probably going to see another yellow happen between now and the end of this race, completely erasing the lead that he's built up, rightfully so, over the past 10 laps once we got things back up rolling and ready to rock and roll from this restart. But these drivers still battling hard. That's a fight that we got on our hands between Sturgeon and Collins, and Cunningham and Kaufman still battling hard right behind. These drivers have not given us any single point of rest. I've had to break open my second bottle of water from this broadcast on Maconi Entertainment tonight just because of how fantastic the racing action has been thus far. But these cars are driving terribly. As 3 wide action a little bit farther in the back with Cunningham, Justice, and Kaufman. That was an insane fight a little bit back in the camera shot as the front runners made their way off of 3 and 4. But this battling still continues on. These drivers have not given us a single moment of reprieve, even including the full course yellows. It has been bam, 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 bam. The racing action has been coming at you all broadcast long. It has been fantastic thus far, and we're coming to a fantastic crescendo as well, with Cofield leading over Drabick in second, Sturgeon in third, and Ellingston and Collins now battling hard for P4 and P5. One driver running in a Toyota, one in a Chevrolet. JJ Moore as well. He's been on the comeback tour, up 10 spots when we started in this race. He led for a decent chunk of it in the first half, dropped back because of a duff run through the pit lane for the money stops, as we called it, during one of the latest yellow flag periods. But JJ Moore making his way up to 9th, and if we have another restart, he may be a driver that we have to keep our eyes on. Daniel D. Cunningham and Tyler Justice, meanwhile, they've both made up 18 spots thus far, with a lot of drivers making their way up 17. Lots of movers and shakers, lots of drivers cutting their way through the field like a hot knife through butter, and that was a fantastic save from the 07 of Drabick. I was gonna say that Sturgeon was acting like a surgeon on the back of that bumper of the 07 car, giving a big boot scoon boogie heading through 3 and 4. That was possibly the greatest save that I've seen in my time doing iRacing broadcasts. That car was sideways. That car was destined for a one-way trip into the outside blue safer barrier. However, he kept that car going in a straight line. How he did that, I don't even think he knows. But in that drama, it still extended that gap because Jonathan Cofield is now leading this race by about 1.5 seconds. But move of the season thus far with that fantastic save from Drapick, and he's still running inside the top 10.
Whew, gotta take a deep breath there for Drabeck. That was pretty intense. That was a great save. Like you said, all this action that we've been watching, all these drivers battling Cofield. 53 machine, just driving away. He's like, you guys just battle it hard out there. I'm looking forward. I'm out of here. Y'all have a great time, because all I want to see is a checkered flag. Is my next flag is we're coming to 10 laps to go next time by. All these drivers battling really hard. These tires are getting hot. They're getting worn. Are we going to see a yellow in these final 10 laps? Only time will tell.
I honestly can't tell whether or not we are going to have a yellow, because these drivers have been battling hard. But as we've seen throughout the first 69, coming to 70 laps to go in the 70 laps thus far in this race, these drivers have avoided major catastrophes thus far. So the fact that we saw that save from the 07 leads me to believe that these drivers may be able to keep it green between now and the end of this race. However, if we do have some yellows, especially towards the final few laps, we would have to talk about the green-white checkered procedure here from the GoatLocker Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen series. And as it stands at the moment, Jonathan Cofield looking to try and snag the victory, extending that gap now to 1.6 seconds over himself and Jacob Ellingson, who's running in P2, and he's still got a fight on his hands between himself, Jake Collins in third, Logan Sturgeon in fourth. They've got JJ Moore still on the comeback tour, now running in fifth. JJ Moore's just come alive towards the end of this race, and Daniel D. Cunningham in sixth. But I have a great feeling about Moore in the 54 car.
Looks like Moore has finally got the balance right and hopefully getting a good run, because like I said, he was kind of stagnant there at the end of the top 10 there for quite a few laps, almost 20 laps, just kind of stuck there. And finally getting the march forward. Maybe he kind of learned from that run to save his stuff and have more tire at the end of the run. With just 8 laps to go this time. Excuse me, 9 laps. No, 8, yep, I was right. I just want to give a shout out to these drivers just outside the top 15. They are also putting on one heck of a battle back here between the 43 machine of Milken and all these drivers back here. They're battling hard as well. What you see up front is what they're doing in the middle of the field. It's just they're a little bit farther out of the shot. Just want to give them a shout out, as all these drivers tonight for the GoatLocker Racing League just doing a wonderful job putting on one heck of a show here.
Yeah, this has been one heck of a show thus far, and we're still waiting for the end of it. But as it stands at the moment, looks like the fight is going to continue between Ellingson, Collins, Sturgeon, and the rest of the pack that look absolutely hungry running inside the top 10. I gotta say though, with them keeping single file as they have for the past few moments, that gap between themselves and Jonathan Cofield has cratered. It was 1.6 seconds not terribly long ago. It's now been cut by a half a second. It's now 1.1 between Cofield and Ellingson, with only 7 coming to 6 laps to go. I'm curious though, does Ellingson just have enough time to be able to close out that gap between himself and Cofield? Will we have to talk about a restart? Will we have to talk about JJ Moore making his way up the running order? I was curious to see what kind of lap times he was setting. He's still pretty fast. Last lap time by was a 40.8 compared to the drivers running a little bit farther up the road in the 40.9s. And as I say that, he goes up to 40.1. 41.0, my apologies. But these drivers starting to feel the burn with the tire wear. I'm curious, does JJ Moore have the speed? Of course, made up some positions ever since that Duff pit stop he got included in and dropped it back, but I think it's going to be too little too late for him. The real question is it going to be too little too late for Jacob Ellingson tries to close up that gap to himself and Cofield? That gap now under a second for the first time in a while, and the big thing is just getting into that drift, because once he gets into the slipstream of Jonathan Cofield and the number 53 that's been leading this race for a decent chunk of the second half, we gotta wonder, will Ellingson just be able to close up that gap and just give us a heart-pumping finish from tonight's racing action?
What Cofield wants to see in his mirror is them battling side by side, and what he doesn't want to see right now is these drivers being single file. It's stuck at 1 second, but like you said, I don't think they can get there, but they can definitely make it close. If they could all just stay in line and really march forward and get bumper to bumper, they could make it happen. But Ellingson, right there in the 27, just pulling away just a little bit from these drivers now. We'll see if they can get drafted up and get back together, but we'll see how it goes for Cofield. With 4 laps to go, these drivers have put in one heck of a show tonight. I'm sure these drivers are probably feeling a little tired, because I'm a little tired up here from trying to call this action. This has been a great time as these drivers continue to just get nose to tail, as that lead is now under 0.8 of a second. Ellingson might be getting a little sniff of that draft. We'll have to see how it plays out as we're coming to 3 laps to go.
Ooh, this is looking like it's going to be a good finish. Coming to 3 to go. Will Ellingson have the time to close up that gap to himself and Cofield? As much as Cofield may be worried about the cars, he was worried about that happening. That is the full course yellow, and that's not what Cofield wanted to see. These drivers piling into each other on the grass. Our camera indestructible Maconi Entertainment tonight just got ran over by a car and still lives to tell the tale. But lots of cars scattering their way off the corner, and that was not what Cofield wanted to see. Right as I was going to say that he wanted to keep his mind on the cars behind, not only the likes of Ellingson running in second, He wants to keep his eyes on the cars running well farther in the back to make sure they made it to the end of this race clean. It's not going to end that way. Instead, with the yellow coming out with 3 to go, we're going to go into green-white checker territory. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Meanwhile, I think we may have some replays to take a look at of that big moment that is going to be a huge upset for Cofield. He was probably already trying to plan out what he was going to say in the post-race interview, but that was a messy situation coming off of 4.
Looks like the 25 machine there got loose and just kind of collected everybody else in the incident. Late race cautions. What are we going to do? Are we going to pit? I know these drivers are going to have some things to think about. Watching that accident there, though, a lot of drivers might be knocked out as well. Oh, the 25. Whew. As we take a look on for the, 07. Drayback was on the move. I guess he fell back here. I think this was a battle for like the 15th position area, so we'll have to see what happens here. Oh man, just nowhere's to go.
Got T-boned.
The whole machine.
Ooh, and we've got some drama, some drivers coming in for a green-white checkered pit stop. This is an interesting call from the drivers that have made that decision. Of course, we've got 3 green-white checkered tonight, but with that long green flag run that we're just off the back of, those tires were destroyed. They were cooked. They were worn down to the canvas. You can use any sort of simile to try and describe those tires. They were worn down for sure, and these drivers making the call to come down pit lane. One of the drivers that didn't, though, was Logan Sturgeon, who's been able to take the lead of this race with that interesting call to stay out. The real question is, does he have enough of a cushion between himself and the cars that have come down pit lane to be able to exit out and leave this race with the victory? Speaking of exiting out, that didn't go too well for Jonathan Cofield and Jacob Ellingson. They have lost out on some spots. So Jason Taylor and Daniel D. Cunningham decide to come down pit lane as well. Those 2 drivers inheriting 6th and 7th as Ellingson and Cofield, who are on track to finish P1 and P2, they're now running down in 8th and 9th respectively. And while we're following the Lincoln Tech car and have this late race yellow, which is going to be setting ourselves up for a first green-white checkered attempt, we should probably talk about Lincoln Tech. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to their students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They are one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses nationwide. They're the title sponsor of the fall series and also a very large partner of GoatLocker Racing. We would like to thank Lincoln Tech for being one of the partners with GoatLocker, and really, if Lincoln Tech wasn't one of the partners, some of these drivers wouldn't have been able to come out pit lane with the veracity that they did. Jason Taylor going to be the highest running car on this restart that did come in for tires just a few moments ago. But as you can see, the lights are out on the pace car, Jeremy. The first of 3 green-white checkered attempts tonight from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen Series. With some drivers on old tires at the front, some drivers on 2 tires right behind, and some drivers on 4 fresh Goodyears right behind them. This restart is gonna be hectic.
With Sturgeon and Jermaine, they're front runners. New names, new places, new faces, you name it. They're going to be up at the front. This is going to be absolute chaos. The drivers have been up front all night. They don't want to let this one slip away. What are they going to do to get back to the front? They've only got a few laps to do it, but they've got a whole 2-mile track to get it done in. We'll see if they go 3 or 4 wide. This is going to be one heck of a restart here.
I'll tell you what, this race has been fantastic, and the conclusion of this race is going to be fantastic as well. For those tuning into this broadcast tonight on Maconi Entertainment, after the laps of racing action that we've had thus far, if that hasn't convinced you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, I really don't know what would, because this has been auto racing at its finest. It's been the best amount of action, in my opinion, that we've had so far this season. Drivers running 2 wide, 3 wide, even 4 wide at times, and coming to the final final restart from tonight's racing action. After a sixth yellow disrupted what we thought was going to be a dominant performance from Cofield, the field now going to be led back to the green by Sturgeon with a very early jump. He's going to be leading them comfortably heading into turn at number 1 and 2. And with this first overtime attempt, if they make it back to the white flag, that will be game, set, match no matter what the next flag is. Lucas Lyons, who took the opening race victory at Talladega with a big sideways snap for a lot of drivers and a big wreck. That is Ellingson, the number 27, with a big moment. The 81, the 91 involved in that as well. Multiple drivers piling into that collision on the back straightaway on this first green-white checkered attempt. And right as I said that the drivers needed to take the white, they did not. Instead, they saw another yellow come at the 7th yellow of this race thus far, and that is going to send us into green-white checkered attempt number 2. The first time we've seen that so far this season, Jeremy, but with the close and tight-knit racing that we've had, I'm not entirely shocked that they wrecked on that restart. They're pushing it to the limit, and sometimes the driver's just pushing a little bit over the edge.
Not sure if the 27 got loose there, had to get on the gas, and it's got kind of run over from behind, but a lot happened there very quickly for the number 27 machine. Looks like a lot of drivers, unfortunately, with nowheres to go as we take an onboard look here with the number 27 machine. A little wiggle right there. It looks like you just got a quick little shot from behind. Just close racing, you know, everybody's got to go. You know, there's a green-white checkered. And everybody's pushing really hard, all gas, no brake. And unfortunately, this is what happens as we look on board here from Jake Collins. Oh, looks like it was going to be all right there with just a little bit of damage, and I think that shot right there probably might have knocked his toe out as well. The Cunningham machine looks like it was going to be all right and just gets tagged there from the number 81. Trying to just sneak to that one. That was quite the event as we look on from the Lincoln machine, a little head-on shot. Looking into his eyes. As we get on the NASCAR Next Gen on board is like what I like to call this look. Oh, nowhere's to go. Could not slow down. Happened pretty quick. A lot of drivers, unfortunately, getting taken out here late in the game. Sturgeon, is he saving fuel or cooling his tires off? I don't know, but
listen into the audio of Sturgeon. Yeah, he is saving fuel. He's in 5th. He is clutching and coasting it, keeping that car between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. And this is desperate stuff from Logan Sturgeon. However, you can't really blame him too much for trying to go for that strategy call. And hey, it still has not gone wrong for him yet. He is leading it at the moment under the 7th yellow of the planned 80 laps that we are meant to have tonight. Going over that a little bit with this green-white checkered attempt, as my voice is already giving out here. I've already gone through a bottle and a half of water on this broadcast. The racing action has been so strong, I think my vocal cords are going to be hanging on virtually by the skin of their teeth when everything is said and done. But Sturgeon, can't blame him too much. However, if he misjudges this will be a heartbreaker for Sturgeon, who is on track for a top 5 position if that yellow didn't come at. Trying to risk it for the biscuit and take the lead. The real question is it going to work for him to back that car into victory lane when everything's said and done?
And looking behind him, you got Bobby Germain. Is he in the same fuel situation, or is he okay on fuel? And you got Lucas Lyons, and you got Sam Milken. As we're coming to the 1 to green, we'll have to see if these drivers are saving any fuel, if they're good to go. But yeah, we got some big new names up here. Mark Hollyfield there, up 30 positions in 7th spot right now. I know he's on old tires, but that is a huge gain for him tonight, as he hasn't been up towards the front. We'll have to see if he can capitalize and finish up with top 10 as the pace car lights are off. And here we go.
So the first driver that pitted, we believe, is Jason S. Taylor was a driver who won that race off pit lane. We believe he only took 2 tires, though, unless his mechanics in iRacing just drank a whole case of Red Bull and were able to get that car serviced with 4 new tires on his Ford Mustang in a nick of time. He's going to be restarting this race on the 5th, not the 5th row, the 3rd row, my apologies. However, I'm keeping my eyes on Bobby Germain, the driver that started this race a little bit farther towards the back, is up 27 spots, and really at this point, he seizes a fantastic opportunity in the number 42 car. He is going to be running flat out and trying to grab that white flag. That's a lap that matters. That's a flag that matters. Coming to the second green-white checkered attempt from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen Series. This is only the third round of this very young season. We've seen some great racing action thus far, tonight being no different, and we're going to see a fantastic finish to the 80 laps plan that we are meant to have from tonight. The green flag back out, and Sturgeon with another good restart. The driver that was spending that previous yellow, saving as much fuel as he could. Is he going to be able to make it to the end, or is he going to be running on fumes? Look at Lucas Lyons, who came from behind to win at Talladega for the opening race of the season. He's now running in P2, however, running wide off corner entry. He is going to be on the back foot, possibly going onto the back straightaway for what could be the final time at speed. 3 wide action, heading into 3 and 4. That was a little bit of contact, that must be said. Germain in the midst of that. Cofield trying to make his way up the spots. So Jonathan Cofield, who was in a good position, trouble for the 41. He's going to be spinning off of the corner and bringing the 8th yellow out, and they took the yellow before they took the white, so that's going to send us into the third and final green-white checkered attempt, and the 41 car spinning wildly out of control coming out of the corner. That was Jason S. Taylor. He had new tires on that race car, new wheels on his wagon, got spun coming off of the corner with some 3 wide action, gone desperately wrong. And speaking of desperately wrong, this yellow is not what Logan Sturgeon, who's still leading this race, that's not what he wanted to see. We saw some desperate fuel saving from him during that last yellow. I think that's going to be cranked up to 100 during this one.
I think they might be coming to checkered. I don't see another green-white checkered on the board. Just a heads up as the 41 machine there, as you can see, spun out. We'll have to take a look to see what happens when they come across the start-finish line this time. Yes, I believe I saw 2 green-white checkers. We were going to see a great battle there from the Cofield machine. I believe he was going to be there putting the heat on. These 2 drivers are up towards the front.
Oh, and the checkered flag
is out.
Yeah, the checkered is going to be out, and Logan Sturgeon very happy that we don't have 3 green-white checkered attempts. Instead, we have to settle for 2, and Sturgeon takes the checkered flag to win the 3rd race of the season. The gamble paid off. The driver of the number 26 car takes a victory from the 3rd round of the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics series, albeit under yellow. He wins it at Fontana when everything is said and done, makes his way up 6 spots between the start and the finish of this race. And credit where credit's due to Lucas Lyons to make his way up to 2nd when everything was said and done, made his way up 11 spots. Jonathan Cofield is going to be so upset with how things went out for him. He was on track for a victory, but then things just did not go to plan for him. That final yellow ended up costing him the victory when everything is said and done tonight. And try and stay with this. We'll look at the field right now as they're starting to celebrate each other's success in this 3rd race of the season. And congratulations going out to Sturgeon, who takes the checkered flag when everything is said and done after 2 dramatic green-white checkers, bookmarking a dramatic 80-lap race. We're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll be right back with some interviews and to touch on the final results when everything is said and done from round number 3 of the season. And as Logan Sturgeon goes on to that start-finish straightaway, maybe going to treat us to some nice donuts. We'll take a look at the donuts, and we'll take a look at the smoke show before we cut to the commercial, because this may be... Oh, I think, he's maybe not going to treat us to some. Actually, no, he will. We'll look at the replay of the donuts later on. For now, though, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages. The smoke show that you're seeing from the number 26 car is Logan Sturgeon celebrating his victory when everything was said and done. We only had 2 green-white checkered attempts, and on that second one, when the yellow came out to bring this race to a close, Logan Sturgeon, running on fumes, was able to get the job done. I gotta say, the fuel situation may not have been as dramatic as we had in mind, because he had plenty of fuel to burn those tires down to the canvas when everything was said and done from tonight's racing action. And speaking of, we'll take a look at the results from the 80-plus laps of racing action that we just had. Logan Sturgeon behind the wheel, the number 26 Chevrolet, takes the victory when everything is said and done. The winner of the opening race of the season, Lucas Lyons, going to finish behind in P2. Jonathan Cofield, who's going to be very upset considering he was in the prime position to win it, he ends up finishing in third when everything is said and done. Credit where credit's due to Bobby Germain and Sam Milliken rounding out your top 5. Those 2 drivers finishing 4th and 5th respectively, up 25 and 27 spots respectively. JJ Moore, who we thought we had to keep our eyes on, led earlier on, had a decent lead at one point. However, with a Duff pitch strategy call, he ends up in 6th when everything is said and done, still up 13 spots from start to finish. George Jewell going to finish in 7th. Mikey Isaac in 8th. Tyler Justice in 9th. Mark Holyfield going to round out your top 10. That's Jesse Nikula in 11th. James Kaufman in 12th. Johnny Cofield in 13th. Timothy Wilms up in 14th. Jacob Lenke in 15th. Jeremiah Holt in 16th, up 19 spots when everything was said and done. Patrick Drabeck off the back of a victory last time out of Phoenix. He ends up in 17th. Timothy Stubblefield, who led earlier on, is going to end up in 18th. Joe Hobbs in 19th, and Zach Engel going to round out your top 20 finishers.
And our last driver on the lead lap in 21st will be Jason Taylor, who we thought might be in the catbird seat with the 2 fresh tires. Did not, unfortunately, work out for him. And then we start with our first driver's laps down, if not even running. In 22nd, Blake Edel. 23rd will be the Jake Collins machine. And 24th, they got Jacob Ellingson, who was pretty dominant here tonight. Unfortunately, fell short with a late race incident. 25th will be Daniel Cunningham. 26th will be Doug Ellingson. 27th will be James Goshen. 28th will be James Barkas. 29th will be Chris Smith and Chance Taylor, rounding out your top 30 there. A lot of these drivers here were out, excuse me. And 31st, you got Justin Klein. In 32nd, Cameron Wessenberg. 33rd, Chris Sawyer. 34th, our pole sitter, Mike Kosick, out 38 laps down. Unfortunate ending to his day. 35th, Travis Bieber, also a threat today. And 36th there, Ryan Pelton, I believe, led some laps. He's 67 laps down. He unfortunately had an early end to his day as well. 37th, Condorian Davids. 38th, Brandon Wallace. And 39th, Peyton Hubbard.
And that is going to round out your results from tonight. We're going to move into the interviews and have a chat with a man who may be a little bit disappointed when everything was said and done. Jonathan Cofield is now joining us in the commentary booth. And now, Jonathan, I'm sure that 3rd to last yellow was not what you wanted to see. On track for a dominant victory, but then that yellow came out and kind of screwed everything up, but still fantastic recovery drive to make your way up to 3rd when everything was said and done. Talk us through the drama that we just saw here at Auto Club tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Had what, 5 or 6 cautions. I mean, not too bad. I heard a lot of the guys in the back were, 3 by 3 by 3. I know the battles up front was pretty hot and heavy all night, but yeah, I've been out of the sim for a couple months, so it kind of feels good. I raced with these guys last season. It feels kind of good to come in here on my own sim and get a top 3 out of it. So I'm not really disappointed. Teammate coming second. Whole team had some good runs. Got caught up in a couple wrecks, but all in all, good night.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was a very good night for you, and you leave it with a P3 result and carrying a little bit of momentum into the 4th race of the season at Bristol in just 1 week's time. Much different track with a whole different batch of challenges. So how do you think that race is going to be from your end in 1 week's time?
Qualify up front and try to stay up front. If there's 30 guys enter that race, it's liable to be a handful all night. So just gotta try to you either gotta start in the pits and stay out of the stuff, or qualify up front and stay out of it. There's no, you don't want to be caught in the center. So
Yeah, that race. I mean, we saw what we could best describe as a pack of next gen Hornets throughout this race. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like at Bristol in just 1 week's time. Jonathan, well done on the P3 result, and happy to hear that you're happy about it. Before we let you go and celebrate that podium run from tonight's racing action, is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Oh yeah, everybody on Bandits Motorsports, all the broadcasters, SM Racing Products need to get you a button box. Go check them guys out. Make some really nice button boxes. Use Bandits One at checkout, save you a little money. Patrick, Jamie, everybody here at GoatLocker for what they're doing. I've sit here and watched this league grow and grow and grow. They're doing an awesome job, and all these sponsors they got us to read out. Real good job by them. Lincoln Tech, Hidden Whip Brewery, Cruisin Classics, Nasty's Restaurant, Veterans for Life, Invets, Jam Premium Promotions, of course, Maconi, V-Speed, Nazra for our other broadcast, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. Heard they got a little grant for doing such a good job. Alexander PC, Sim Motion, Next Level, iRacing, Love the Yellow Line, and that's about it.
Alrighty, there you go, Jonathan. Well done on the sponsor shout outs. Probably better than I do in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the P3 results, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack at Bristol in 1 week's time. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, buddy.
And that is Jonathan Cofield, who ends up in third, and now Jeremy is with Lucas Lyons.
We are here with Lucas Lyons, man, trying to be our first repeat winner this season. Unfortunately, it looks like you come up just one position short. Lucas, what did you need there at the end to kind of make it happen?
Honestly, I don't know, and I feel like I shouldn't have even been up there at that point. I ran like the back half, like back 20 cars of the field all race long. Spun myself out like on complete accident. It just like got so loose off the corner, and I just couldn't save it. And yeah, I honestly I needed more speed. That's what I needed, more speed.
Are you teammates with the winner there? Because it looked like you two were working really good on those restarts, or did you just have a good timing on your pushes?
He's actually I've raced with him in the past. He's on my team in a different league, but not this league. And I just got a really good start there, and try to make something out of nothing I had.
Awesome, Lucas. Well, congratulations on the P2, almost being our first repeat winner this season. Who do you got to thank for getting here tonight?
I want to thank everyone at Bandits, you all for putting on an amazing broadcast. All of our sponsors over here, Invets, GoatLocker Racing, B-Speed, you all for putting this on. Hidden Whip, Top Tier, Cofield, Asphalt Finishing, Otter Home Loan, Southeast Tutoring, Saudi GoatLocker Racing, SM Racing Products. Use code Bandits1 at checkout, and save you a little bit of money. RP Repair, and yeah, I think that's it.
Well, you nailed it, Lucas. Congratulations again on your P2. Hopefully, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Lucas Lyons, our P2 finisher there, man. What a great job by all these drivers tonight. Ron, I believe we have our winner.
Yes, we do. Logan Sturgeon is now joining us in the commentary booth. And now, Logan, that was a hard-fought night for you. Up and down, topsy-turvy, and I'm sure the nerves were definitely getting towards you towards the end, trying to save as much fuel as you possibly could. Talk us through the fantastic night of racing action that we just saw at Auto Club.
That was some of the most fun I've had in a while. But first, I want to apologize to Pat. I got into him. I think it was in turn one. I feel really bad about that. I don't ever want to try and race anybody like that. So I'm sure he's upset, and I don't blame him. I would be too. But I got into him, and it was completely unintentional. So I really do apologize to Pat. But no, I mean it was crazy up front. We were going, we were 3 wide a lot of the time. Guys were just getting such crazy runs when you had 2 cars beside each other. I was really sweating with my decision to stay out until some of the guys told me that I had about that 6 other cars stayed out. So I knew I had a little bit of a cushion, and it took a couple laps for those tires to warm up. So I was really hoping, but I was nervous that I made the wrong decision when I saw everybody else go down pit road at the end.
Yeah, I can imagine you were scratching your shoulders a little bit, just being a little bit nervous towards the end. But hey, it still ended up working for you when everything is said and done, walking away from this race with a victory. Now, how does that help your mindset heading into the next race of the season at Bristol?
Well, the first 2 races of the season were pretty rough. I got taken out in both of them, so I knew that I needed to come out and put on a good race tonight. I didn't expect to win by any means. I was honestly just shooting for a top 10. But I mean, going into Bristol, I think it's going to be all about where we qualify. I'm not the greatest qualifier, so I'll probably work on that throughout the week to get ready for that. And I think just avoiding the mayhem that is Bristol.
We're going to get a whole lot of practice for sure and try and become the first repeat winner from this season. But Logan Sturgeon, congratulations on the victory at Auto Club tonight. And now, before we let you go and celebrate, is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Lincoln Tech, Hidden Whip Brewery, Cruisin Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, Veterans for Life Foundation, Veterans for Life Racing, InVets, Jam Printing and Promotion, Maconi Setup Shop, V-Speed, and Nasera 360. I do want to say one last thing. Today was the 23rd anniversary of September 11th, so I want to just give a shout out to all the men and women, all the first responders that day that paid the ultimate sacrifice, and to just remember the 3,000 civilians that were lost in those attacks, and always prayers to their families.
Well, very kind words at the end of that, Logan. We appreciate that. I'm sure they do as well. Very good on the shout-outs as well. I'll tell you what, you GoatLocker guys are very good when it comes towards those shout-outs and talking about the sponsors. But congratulations on the victory, man. And really excited to see you hit the racetrack at Bristol in 1 week's time. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, what's up?
Oh, there we go. We are back, hopefully. That was a small little bit of a technical glitch there. Hopefully we're back here on Maconi Entertainment. But nevertheless, excited to get things back up and rolling for the rest of this season. Jeremy, we asked those drivers about how Bristol's going to be like in just 1 week's time, but I need to ask you that as well. How do you think Bristol's going to be like?
Well, today's show was phenomenal, and I'm really hoping they're going to pull through and do a really good job at Bristol for us as well. I mean, it is hard to have 30 cars, like the one driver said, it's hard to have 30 cars on any iRacing event. So just doing that at Bristol, I feel like it's going to be a little chaotic, but I think these drivers are going to get some good practice in this next week, and I think Bristol's going to be another one of those barn burners.
Oh, barn burner indeed. That is going to be a fantastic race to watch from round number 4 of the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday night Cruisin Classics Next Gen Series. It's been a season full of heart-pumping racing action thus far, and really excited to go short track racing in just 1 week's time. But I think as for this broadcast tonight on Maconi Entertainment, that will just about do it. We'd like to thank the GoatLocker Racing crew along with all of the sponsors, those of course being Cruisin Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, Lincoln Tech, and Jam Printing and Promotions. Without their generous support, this series and these broadcasts would not be possible. But I think as for tonight's broadcast, that will just about do it. Calling the action was myself, Ron Mons, Jeremy Briggs joining me in the commentary booth, and Marty Sakala joining us, working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing